Guys, this is what got Jacob Zuma into trouble with Afrikaners. And yeah, after that, these are some of the things that got Jacob Zuma into trouble. After that, things have never been the same. Things have never been the same. Jacob Zuma spoke about the fact that when Jan van Riebeck landed in this country, our problem began. And this video couldn't be relevant it couldn't have been more relevant than when you consider what is happening, right? Let's start here. What is happening? You ask me. I'll tell you this. In Lesotho, people are actually on the look. They are currently trying to reject this Elon Musk thing, because even Lesotho has got laws that are similar to South Africa in that you can't introduce your Starlink thing and then you don't give the citizens 30%. Same thing in South Africa. Now, why am I mentioning that in this conversation? I'm mentioning it because Elon Musk, I think he was trying to be bossy or what. He said in his speech, he said that in South Africa he's not allowed to operate or to open a Starlink in South Africa because he's white. If he was black, he would have been allowed. And the South African government had said, no, you can come and open your Starlink thing. Starlink thing, no problem. The only condition is that 30% belongs to a black person, and this man is not willing to give that. So you see, these same white people who are claiming that they are being abused in South Africa, today, when you look at their character, they don't want to share. They want everything for themselves. And the moment you speak the language of sharing, you are stealing. I've heard a lot of them when they talk about the BE. Yeah, these black people are stealing our money. You're like, wait, where did you get that money? The land that helps you makes money. It was never yours. So how has that money become yours? Do you see what I'm saying? So there are many problems that emanated as a result of Jan van Riebeck landing in South Africa. And Jacob Zuma goes into detail explaining that. But I've got 3 videos. I want us to start with the first video. The lady explained what will happen to people who will go who will be taken, right? And I'm going to give you the one of Jacob Zuma, but it's going to be at the end. After this one. Take a look at the lady explaining the horrible things that happened during apartheid. Here.
Any anti-apartheid activist that was taken to Flag Plus, or anybody suspected of being anti-apartheid that was taken to Flag Plus, chances are you are not coming back. So some of the things that took place at Flag Plus was torture and execution, assassination squads, and disposal of bodies. So yeah, torture and execution, assassination squads, and disposal of bodies. There is one instance, I forget the lady's name. She was an anti-apartheid activist. She was abducted, taken to Flag Plus, and when they were done with her, all that could be recovered was a finger. There were bits of her because they blew her up. Apparently, they strapped explosives to her. So they blew her up, and there was nothing for the family to bury except for a finger. This is the history that we come from, and I'm just scratching the surface. I haven't even gotten in depth and gotten into detail as to, each time period. But this is just a general overview of the fact that the MPTT still has not recovered everybody that vanished. It's 2025. People that disappeared in 1964, 1969, their remains are still unaccounted for. And people want to come and talk about things that did not happen, things that are non-truths. People who call themselves Europeans want to come and tell us and rewrite history, and there is an attempt to rewrite, downplay, and just basically subvert the horrors that happened in this country. And I think as historians, this is why I study what I study. This is why I'm a postgraduate student studying South African history. we have a responsibility. So not only just historians, as historians, sociologists, anthropologists, if you're in the humanities and if you are able to, we have a responsibility to tell the stories and tell the real story of this country's history, because whether or not we tell the story of this country, there are people on the other side who are actively trying to rewrite that history. And the effects of it are still felt and they are still witnessed, not just in the material conditions, but in the kind of violence. South Africa is a very violent country.
From there, then we've got advocate. I forgot it, advocate. He also gives us something positive that was happening during apartheid, right? And that positive thing is the fact that during apartheid, people will get a job, people will get this, but power was with Afrikaner. So now we will not play that video, but we'll go straight to the one I got Jacob Zuma because it's long. So you need to hear Jacob Zuma from the beginning until the end. And this, the relevance of this video, guys. Let me not preach the relevance of the video. Let me rather let you listen to this video.
When I said, when Jan van Riebeeck landed in the Western Cape, our problems began, is a historic fact. Now, I always avoid giving the details of the history, but it's not necessary. When he landed, there were residents here, in this very city, who were established here. The Cohen son. They were living here, and they welcomed him warmly. And he established himself. They were together. Somewhere, somehow, a tension began. And there were wars that were fought. They were removed here forcefully from their area. Removed. And some of them went deep into the country, north, south, east. And the wars began because after the population arriving in South Africa grew. It is written down, it's not me concocting it. There were 8 major wars that were fought in the Eastern Cape. I didn't write that. We are not counting other small wars. 8 major wars. There was a great trek from here when there was a quarrel between the Afrikaners and the British. As a history of this country, there was an establishment of 4 republics, 2 belonging to the British, 2 belonging to the Afrikaners. When all of this was done, the blacks were not consulted, even the establishment of the republics. The clash between the Afrikaners and the British continued. There is no part of the country that there were no clashes. With the British, with the Afrikaners. Some are big and known, some are not known. The Zulus fought the British. And the major one was at Isandlwana. The Afrikaners fought the Zulus. And Ngome, what you call the Brald River. And the British, the Afrikaners discovered, as they call it, they discovered, they actually came across mineral resources. And the British heard this, and they vowed to defeat the Afrikaners. And there was an Anglo-Boer war. That's a history of this country. Very bitter war. We all participated on either side. Only now, when we are correcting history, we are calling it a South African war because we all died in that war. At the end of that war, the English-speaking and the Afrikaners met to negotiate and agreed the four republics should be combined and took very important decisions. Where will the parliament be as part of compromises? It will be in Cape Town. Where will the administrative city, Pretoria? Where will be the judiciary? Orange Free State in Bloemfontein. And one of the decisions when these two met was that you will have, therefore, a union of South Africa. The government, who should be elected at all times, but the black people would not participate in that process. It was that decision that made the black people to make a call to meet in Mangaung in Bloemfontein to discuss what we called the national calamity, that the indigenous people are not to be part of governing this country. Very bad decision on an important decision of uniting the four republics. It was that time that we said we are going to fight to liberate ourselves, to be part of government. To participate, you must know, because this country was still under British colonialism fully.
So yes, having listened to Jacob Zuma speaking, now I want you to put 1 + 1 together, and I want you to tell me, in your own words, I want you to tell me, who is abusing who in South Africa? Let's start there. Is it the black people who are killing the farmers? Or it's the other way around? The farmers are being greedy and they don't want to share the land which they stole, and they're keeping the indigenous people out of the country and making the black people to work for them. Who is selfish here? I want you to answer me. Who is selfish here? Who is the problem here? For me, I will swear, it's definitely not the black community. It's the white community that does not want to share the land. They want to keep things to themselves and for themselves and to their grandchildren. The moment you speak the language of sharing, you upset these people. The moment you speak the language of sharing, let's start with Elon Musk. What got him to what's created the war between South Africa and Elon Musk is because the moment you say to Elon Musk, you guys have been benefiting far too long. Yes, we will agree. Come and invest in our country, but the people of this country must benefit. Elon Musk, what he says, he shows us the middle finger and say, I don't want to share my wealth. But Elon Musk, you are using whose land? Whose infrastructure? You want to come here, use this country, and make more money, and then leave nothing. You can't. Guess what? It's a war. Chinese have their own thing called their own Starlink. Guess what? Chinese have been allowed to launch their own thing. Why? Because Chinese were willing to comply with the 30% rule, that 30% must be black people. They were willing to comply with that. Guess what? They are now operational because they are willing to comply. Elon Musk, all that he wants is favors. Do me favors. Why? Because I'm white. Why? Because I'm an Afrikaner. I need to get. Because I'm an Afrikaner, things must be easier for me. The moment you call them to order and you say, yay, comply, behave like any other children, no. They've got this backlash of supremacy in their head. No, I'm big. That's it. Look, AfriForum. Listen to AfriForum. What are you fighting? What are you doing in America? You will notice that it has nothing to do, zero to do with facts. It has everything to do with the fact that they don't want to share. A simple word, they don't want to share. It can't be that the land in South Africa is owned by, is it less than 8%, 3% of people, if not 8, between 8 or lesser. The entire population is starving because this majority, tiny people are owning the land. The moment you speak the language of sharing, guess what? It is one of the reasons, one of the biggest reasons they don't want MK Party. They hate EFF because those two, they speak the language that they don't want to hear. Changing what? The constitution. Mind you, right now we're talking of expropriating of land without compensation. The bill that have recently been passed, it doesn't even speak more to that. It's less. They are already shaking. And if it was MK Party and EFF in power, I can tell you this, they would have passed a law, expropriation without compensation of the land. And the law would have been that much straightforward. But be it as it may, they are already shaking, complaining, going all out there, organizing against South Africa, spreading misinformation about South Africa, just because Ramaphosa passed this law that they don't want to see. Why? They don't want to share. And look, listen to this. They've been invited to the table long ago. Come and share. They always said no. Until laws have got to be passed. Now they suddenly have a problem. Such is the nature. Hey, ithi ngithule ngaze kuthiwe sengithe. Ithi ngithule. Kodwa ke guys, ngitsheleni ukuthi, what do you think, what do you say about this thing I show Jacob Zuma here? You and I guys will meet on the next episode, but until then, please take care.